Welcome back to the Rest is F1 podcast. Today we are talking about the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. We are talking about everything that happened in this race, and with me, as usual, I've got Ham. What did we think of the race?
Hey guys, hey Shaq. The race, it was beautiful, I would say. One of the most interesting races we've got in this season. Plenty of unpredicted things that happened during this race, to be honest. A safety car, a virtual safety car, no, a physical safety car. It was absolutely beautiful. You know, the team had to do a lot of strategic calls. Keeping that in consideration as well. And few drivers were lucky enough to get their pit stops done during that period, and the others were a bit unlucky because they had either pit a bit too early or they pit too late for to call in these pit lane act. I mean, for the change of tires. So it was quite a drama-filled race, to be honest. Not because of the DNF, it is all because of the strategy calls they had to do, especially with the tires as well. So it was a good race. I would say a 9 out of 10 for this Imola Grand Prix. Let's dive deep into this. It is a beautiful one.
Yeah, obviously, Piastri started on pole this time out, but it was Verstappen who took a pretty clear, pretty comfortable win, even with the safety car and all that. And it all starts with turn one. Verstappen going for, I guess, kind of a dive bomb overtake, centered around the outside of Piastri. What an overtake! I think definitely gonna win overtake of the month with that one. What do you think?
I totally agree. Totally agreed. Because while watching the race, I could see Piastri had a better start than Norris. Sorry, than Verstappen. He was well ahead, and Russell was catching up as well. So Verstappen was nowhere in the picture when getting into the apex and to the turn one. But then the dive bomb, the late braking by Verstappen, got Piastri by surprise. It was a beautiful overtake. Piastri did not see that coming, especially at that point of the race. The overtake from the outside, it was legitly Verstappen had no space, but then he went for it, and they kept it too good.
Clean. Yeah.
Russell was behind, asking, "What did Piastri do?"
Yeah.
But then he could have done nothing there. That was an absolutely stunned move done by no, Piastri was actually stunned with that move because
Yeah.
they kept it clean, they kept it in the track, they kept it within the boundary lines, and the overtake was done beautifully. So Piastri was a bit startled, I would say, with that overtake. But then he did not give up another position to anybody else. But from that overtake, Verstappen took off. And the tires given by Pirelli were kind of not suitable for the race, I felt, especially among the bottom drivers as well. So initially, Verstappen and PSG started on with medium tires, and the temperature was a bit hotter than we expected, and the grainings were higher as well. So especially when Piastri had to pit within the just before finishing the 15 laps, he had to pit for hard tires. So I think Ferrari and Mercedes giving hard tires for both Antonelli and Hamilton was a good decision, as they went for a longer run as well. But then Verstappen and Norris, they had taken that medium tires for a longer run as well. Hadjar did the same. So did Albon. So they did the use of medium tires, but most of the other racers were a bit hesitant, and the gradings were high. And especially Pirelli had introduced a new C6 tire, if I'm not wrong, which is the softest Pirelli tire they've introduced. So the C6 is apparently so the medium. right now, which they used in this race, is actually the soft tire from the previous race.
Yeah.
So that was an absolutely beautiful tire to be on qualifying. But when it comes to racing, I think hards were the better racing tires. So they were good calls. Other teams had taken lot of time to adjust to the racing tire, but then Verstappen and Norris from the podium used the most out of those.
Yeah. And I noticed in qualifying also uh the Red Bulls had mediums and so did the Astons. So clearly the C5 was the favored tire. But it's kind of another mistake from Pirelli again with the tire changing. Like this was too soft tires for this track. And in Japan, we had the opposite. The tires were too hard. They were too, they had too much uh wear or not enough wear in them, sorry. And so I think that's probably another mistake. They need to look at that, make sure they keep that properly, they keep it appropriate for each different track. Now, we looked at Max, obviously amazing drive, amazing overtake, everything was just superb, awesome, perfect race. But second and third, Norris finally beats Piastri again. It's been, I think, nearly 5 races since, or four races since he had actually last beaten Piastri, and in that time, Piastri's gone won 3 races. So, what do you think about Norris's? I guess, th I found this as more of a mental thing for Norris. It's like, okay, now I've done him better in this race, and I can go forward from that. Do you think that's a thing for him?
Well, I would say Piastri not performing well in Imola would be the fact that Norris had an upper hand in this race. But then I would say Norris has to keep his head down and just go with it rather than predicting that he is going to win. He should just wait for the opportunity, race well. He is going to beat Piastri. Piastri is a person who puts out least mistakes while racing. He is always careful. He is focused. But Norris, on the other hand, is a bit more aggressive. I felt so. I feel that Norris should just keep his head down to beat Piastri. Don't get the racing to your head. No, push forward. I think Piastri will do the same for the next race. He is going to be careful, and Piastri was unlucky with a lot of strategic calls as well, and the safety car was least expected in the at the least at the during the race. Sorry, during the race. So Norris got benefited a lot. The person who's got the most benefit out of the safety car was Verstappen, but Piastri, I think McLaren did a bit of a mistake not pitting Piastri during the second safety car as well. If he had, he would have a chance to catch up to Verstappen as well.
Yeah.
So that was a wrong call done by McLaren. So in order to Norris to beat Piastri in the next race, he's got to keep his head down, focus, and I have a feeling this is gonna be a Nico Rosberg versus Hamilton 2.0 version. Both drivers fighting for the drivers' championship, P1, P2. You know what that teamwork turned out to be in the future. So Norris and Piastri are heading towards that path where they are fighting with each other, but then they're keeping it clean. Nico Rosberg and Hamilton, they had a dogfight. This one is a much better version of that. So let's see towards the end what happens. But to answer your question, whether Norris would beat Piastri in the next race, it all depends on how well Norris keeps his cool.
Yeah,
If he tries rash decisions, if he does rash moves, I don't think so. He is. It's Monaco, and he is gonna pay for those if he does that.
yeah, yeah. Looking further down the grid, we've got Ferrari and Williams. They were scrapping for P4 onwards. So obviously, Hamilton got the P4 in the end, coming from 12th up to P4. That's definitely a good drive from him. And I'd say the same for Albon and Leclerc. They both did well. Even Sainz, even though he didn't finish, as high up as he started, he still did pretty well to score points still. And his driving in general was really good. I think it's good to see them scrapping like this, but I think you mentioned it before, as Ferrari was definitely faster than Williams, and I don't know where I'd like to see where Ferrari goes forward from here because I think they brought upgrades or some changes, and that has made some difference. So I would say, you can expect Ferrari to hopefully be a bit more fighting, with McLaren and Max. So yeah, but
Well, Shaq, the Williams and Ferrari. I think, but apart from the top three, they were fighting for positions. This fight, it was not just between Williams and Ferrari. There were actually a Mercedes behind that. But then I sat for Antonelli where he had to DNF. He had kept Hamilton behind him since the start of the race. Until was Hamilton had a better tire and overtook uh, Antonelli. So it was not just between Williams and Ferrari fighting for P4. There was a Mercedes as well, but then they had a bad weekend the in Imola. They did not expect they would be out of top five, especially George Russell, who had qualified P3 on Saturday. So Hamilton finishing P4 from P12, that is a charge. He was possessed, to be honest. He was not giving up. He was pushing the tires. That is not the Hamilton that we've seen on most of the days. He tends to save his tires for the towards the end of the race so that he can push. But then he was pushing from the start of the race. He was behind Antonelli. He was trying to overtake, but Antonelli was good enough to keep him behind. But then at the end, he had to because Hamilton was literally behind Antonelli throughout the race, and I would say until he overtook Antonelli, Antonelli was under pure pressure. And Williams, both Leclerc and Albon had a beautiful fight towards the end. They were good as well. So I would say Williams, Ferrari, and Mercedes were fighting, but then Mercedes had to give up with a DNF, and Russell was facing some sort of rear end issues as well. He was sliding throughout this throughout the circuit. He had some wing issues, if I'm not wrong. It was just the car was sliding, and he was having a hard time keeping it in track. So beautiful race by both Ferrari and Williams. Did not expect Albon to finish fifth. Still, I would say swapping position with Albon and Leclerc was the wrong call done by Ferrari because they thought that he was being investigated and he was going to be given a penalty. But then when you see the race, Leclerc was actually ahead at the apex. So it was purely a racing incident that happened between Albon and and Leclerc. He should have been in top five. He should have been given P5. So I think that was a wrong call done by Ferrari there. But then for Hamilton, on the other hand, Ferrari had beautiful strategies planned. They both were on different strategies, and Hamilton made use of both the safety cars, went to change tires, and once he had put on the mediums with the second safety car, he went back on hard. So that was a really good play by Ferrari with Hamilton. So he's had a good weekend.
yeah, And we'll look back up the order again. The championship's pretty close. Piastri's on 145 points, Norris on 133, and Verstappen 124. That's difference of 21 between Piastri and Verstappen. So that's a big, big thing to look at. I don't know what the thing with Max is because, like he's outperforming the car, but how good is the car? Because once the car's good enough, the McLarens are going to have problems, and then this thing could swing right back into the favor of Max, couldn't it?
Oh well, totally, totally. If Monaco turns out to be a bad weekend for McLaren's, Verstappen is going to be in the lead. So the difference between both Piastri and Norris are 12. Uh, so the next race we can see if Piastri and if Norris finishes ahead of Piastri, provided they are in the top three, Norris is going to take the lead in the championship. Provided if Norris is out of top three and Piastri is out of top five, Verstappen is going to be in the lead.
Yeah.
So, like we said ever since out of the podcast for the season, it is anybody's season. This is going to be anybody's season. It is an open fight among the top three. I don't know about the rest of the drivers whether they'll be able to catch up with these the ones ahead of them, but then among the top three, it is anybody's fight. Anybody can win the championship at the end of the season, but then this is getting interesting. This is the F1 we want to see. You know, just a pure among the drivers. Even though McLaren has got the faster car, Verstappen is still the faster driver. So he is pushing that Red Bull to the finish line, and he is trying to get it in P1 or being P3, being at the least. So he is doing a good job. But next race is Monaco. So like I mentioned before, if you try something harsh, you are gonna be paid harsh there. You are gonna be uh, severely punished if you do a small wrong move in Monaco. So drivers have to be focused, make it smooth, make it clean. It's anybody's race in Monaco. Let's see. And one thing I've got to say is Aston in this weekend. They had a beautiful Saturday. They had a beautiful qualifying. Both the drivers were in Q3. For a second, I thought Aston is back alive. You know, they're gonna give the top teams the run for their money. But then, when it comes to racing, Aston was nowhere to be found. They were out of the points. They were struggling. Stroll was struggling. Alonso was struggling. I don't know what happened to them. The car was slower than the one we saw in qualifying. Whether it was the safety cars or virtual safety cars that flopped their race, or was it just that the car was absolutely bad for the race weekend? Not sure, but then Aston lost out on real points. Still, Stroll is ahead of Alonso in after the Imola Grand Prix. So Aston has got to step it up, and Alonso has to do it as well.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention it. Sunoda, who started in pit lane, finished in points. True, the safety car and the virtual safety car did help him, but then that is absolutely good drive. Beautiful drive by Sunoda to get the car to finish in points for Red Bull. I think Red Bull should be thanking Sunoda, even if it is a point or two, finishing at least that car, which was in the pit lane, to the points, is going to help them solid. Because other teams are having their drivers finish both on points. They had least chances of Tsunoda finishing in points. So that was a beautiful drive by Sonoda in this in the Imola Grand Prix. Especially if it was Lawson, I don't think so. He would have done the same thing for Red Bull. But Sonoda putting that Red Bull into the points, that was beautiful. That was a beautiful drive by Sonoda. We've got to say.
Yep, that's pretty much everything. Another good race. Uh, I don't expect the same thing from Monaco, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. Um, but yeah, interesting to see what's gonna happen in the championship. The cars, I don't know. I think the order's changing, so let's hope for everything to get close. Just like last year. So yeah, that's pretty much everything from us. We hope you've enjoyed the video, and we'll see you for our Monaco predictions. Bye bye, guys.
Bye, guys, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.